Hi guys, that time of year again. Time to look forward to enjoying the company of family and friends over Christmas. Time to look back on 2024 and look forward to 2025. 2024 has been a good year for me, mainly because back in August I had a chance to buy this beast. It's Noddy, a low cost that I built back in the early days of low cost, 96, 97, on the road June 97. 28 years ago I was in my garage here, welding bits on the chassis and trying to figure out where the hell to put the front wishbone mounting brackets. Anyway, that's history, long gone. And now I've got the car back and I'm as excited now about low cost as I was 28 years ago.
Derek Manders, thank you for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah,
took a while, but we got there.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'm so happy.
Yeah,
well, part of what we're doing right now is compiling a sort of a biography on Ron Champion. And if anybody knows the story well, I know it's you because you've become good friends over the years.
Yeah, that's correct.
And you were one of the original low-cost builders. I'm keen to find out that because there's an ethos that persists even now, these many years later, about low cost. And I'm just so keen to develop the story. Like, how did it start for you?
Started for me, I was watching the local television news program one evening, and there was I just caught the tail end of a feature about a chap that had written a book which was about to be published on how to build a Lotus 7 type car. He worked, he was a teacher in school, and the pupils had built some, and there was pictures of these lads nipping around in cars, and I thought, oh, I'll have some of that. So, but there was no mention of who was publishing the book or anything like that. So I can't remember now because it was 30 years ago how I did it, but I did a bit of detective work and found out it was going to be a Haynes book, which was due to be published about a month after that article appeared on the television. So I got in touch with Haynes and I got 2 copies on order to be delivered as soon as they were published. One was going to be for me and one was for a work colleague, Alan Horton. He was heavily into Ford Capris. He had a nice selection of Ford Capris, and he just fancied a change. So he said, yeah, we're up for it. We'll do one apiece. So that was it. We decided to do it. So the book was published in October 96.
Mm-hmm.
We got the books within a day or two of them being published. And on the 5th of November 97, I stayed behind at work and I cut all the chassis sections up that from the 25mm box section that we'd already bought. Mm-hmm. And that was it. It started from there. It was much better doing that than watching fireworks. So I was making sparks on the bandsaw at work.
Right.
So it was very handy working where I did. It was an engineering company, so we were sort of manufacturing heat exchangers basically. So we got all the facilities, and an added bonus was Alan Horton. He was the supervisor of the sheet metal section, so he knew what was what. He was a very, very handy bloke to have on board. Alan was a great help to me. So,
lovely. How long did it take you to build?
I started the 5th of November 96, and I was on the road for 12th of June 97.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it wasn't painted when I got it on the road. It looked a bit rough and grubby when I first got it on the road, but I wanted to get it on the road and I could sort of tweak and fine tune things before I put the paint, etc. on.
Right.
So I did.
And
The chassis was handy, so I got the chassis built, and I took it into work. And Gary, one of the other lads there, we took it into work. I think it was, it was early into January. I think we took it into work when there was nobody else there, and snuck it into the shot blaster, and he shot blasted it for me, and then we sort of sneaked it round to the paint bay and put some red oxide primer on it, and then borrowed the works truck and I brought it home all in one piece. So it was very handy. If I hadn't have worked where I did, it would have been a different kettle of fish.
Right.
So,
and when you built it, you built it exactly according to the book, or did you take a little bit of?
The book doesn't give you an exact way of doing it. Well, not the way I read it. It gives you a rough guide. So you've got to, if you're building it from the book, you've got to do a bit of thinking and head scratching yourself, which was all part of the fun.
Yeah.
You know, so it is basically a book car. Everything is mine was based on a Mark II Escort, which the book is based on a Mark II Escort, and I used as much of the Escort as I could. Yeah. So,
I'm interested too. I mean, in how the story developed, not only for you, but obviously for your friend, because I've seen some photos, early photos of a group of low-cost builders who got together. And how did that sort of evolve?
Well, we had. I started a local owners club, I think, as far as I'm aware, we were the first group of low cost owners to get together and form a club. I've not heard of any before us. So there was, I think we had 7 or 8 of us all together in the end. You know, I'm still in touch with a couple of them because you're probably aware I sold my car in 2013 and regretted it, and I just had the chance to buy it back early this year, in August this year. So I bought it back, and now I've appeared back on the well, not back on, but on the Facebook pages. Folks have got in touch with me from way back, so it's quite good from that respect.
That's fabulous. And do you mind if I ask? I mean, I know that I built mine. It's a low cost kit, but I built mine from a kit. And when I drive around, people will come up and they'll say, "What's that?" And do you mind if I ask, when you first came out with that? I mean, clearly it's not a Lotus. It's not. You know. How did people react to the low cost?
Well, folks would say to me, "What kit's that? You know, where did you get the kit?" It's not a kit. I made it. The only thing I didn't make was the nose cone and the rear wings. They were Caterham. I had to buy them from Caterham because there was nowhere else. Nowadays, you can buy, there's loads of companies making bits and pieces, but there wasn't in my day. In fact, I'd never seen a low cost until I got mine built. So I didn't have anything to look at or to get ideas from. It was very much a suck it and see exercise.
And getting back to sort of your connection to the book and to Ron Champion, how did you come into meeting Ron?
I got my car on the road on the 12th of June 97, and then there was the Newark Kit Car Show, which was only about 15 miles or so from where I live. So I went up there, and there was a little area set aside for low costs, but we didn't need a very big area because there was only one there, and that was mine. And I was on there, and Ron had a stall in one of the halls promoting the book, and he'd got a couple of cars there that were the pupils at the school had built, and he came over and we had a good old chat, and from that moment on we've been friends. We've sort of hit it off, and you know, it's been good. You can't, you can't be getting to know the man that wrote the book.
No
You know,
kidding.
it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some fun together.
Yeah, and over the years, I mean, as the story has evolved with Locost, I mean, clearly it has turned. It's a phenomenon unto itself. How it has grown.
It has,
How,
hasn't it? Yeah.
yeah. How, as the fly on the wall, as one of the original builders, how did you perceive how it evolved?
You wouldn't think it was going to take off like it did.
Yeah.
In fact, I've been off the scene since 2013, since I sold my car,
Yeah.
and now I'm back on it again. I think low cost now is as popular as it
Mm-hmm.
was way back in the early days, even more so because there's that many companies about now that's making their own version of the low cost,
Sure.
and excuse me, yeah, making their own version of the low cost and selling kits, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so much easier for people now to build one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
And the technical resources, excuse me for jumping in. And,
Yeah,
I know when I was building mine way back in the early 2000s, it's a low cost kit, but my instruction manual was like about 5 or 6 pages deep. So I had to do a lot of digging around. And one of the resources I relied on heavily was the Low Cost Builders UK site. It is phenomenal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It is, isn't it? I didn't have anything like that. There was absolutely nowhere for Alan and myself to go for information.
Yeah.
Absolutely nowhere. It was, we just the only information we got was in the book. One of the proudest moments for Alan and myself was a couple of years after we'd got the cars built. We was with
Mm-hmm.
Ron one day, and he said, he says, you two lads, you're not low cost builders, you're low cost pioneers.
Boy, so
Which that
true.
was really, really made our day. That did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
For a comment like that to come from the main man,
yeah,
it was good.
absolutely. It's
Yeah.
so true though too. I mean, in doing my research for this work that I'm doing right now, trying to find some original builders is difficult.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, well, they're all a lot of the original builders are the same age as me, well into the 70s. It's we're getting we're all getting along in the tooth.
Well,
I'm
there's
well,
that,
I'm well
and
the wrong side of 70 now,
yeah,
unfortunately. But
yeah.
but
Well, I think that the phenomenon is, and you just said it yourself, you were so in love, enamored by your car that
yeah,
even though you did sell it, you
uh-huh,
regretted it the moment you did,
yeah,
and you had the opportunity to buy it back, which is
yeah.
it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, the best bit is I bought it back for exactly the same price as I sold it for.
Yeah, that's
and, and
wonderful.
and and the added bonus, it was delivered back from Kent to me for nothing. So
That's
that
great.
was brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had 11 years away from it, and I spent that playing about with motorbikes, which was my first love. And
Uh-huh.
now I've thinned all those out, and I'm back with Noddy, the low cost. So
I can't I can't say how happy I am to have had the opportunity to have this chat. I mean, we've been chatting off and on, and you've given me some video from I believe it was Newark you
that's
this
right.
year,
It was
and you're
Newark. Yeah.
again the sole presenter at Newark.
Yeah, yeah. I was a bit disappointed with the show at Newark. Actually, it wasn't a patch on what it used to be in the olden
Yeah,
days,
yeah,
but sign of the times, I suppose.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
I'm hopefully going to try and get together a low cost in this area sometime next year. I've got a plan in my head. So whether it comes off or not, I don't know. I'm going to set aside a date, and
mhm.
I've got a venue lined up, and just have a low cost driving day.
Oh, that would be
So
awesome. I
yeah,
I wish wish I wasn't on the other side of the ocean, but I'd
yeah,
love to
yeah,
be there.
yeah. Just come over for a holiday.
Well, I'm ready.
Yeah, okay.
All
Lovely,
right.
Jim. Nice to chat to you eventually.
Always is. Always is. Okay, we'll talk to you
Okay.
real soon.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Today we're going to be mainly talking about the 750 motor racing series, a little bit about Locost, a little bit about Westfield, because we've actually got a champion with us today, and that's Mike. Say hello, Mike.
Hi, John. Nice to be here.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about your background, because you used to race on Westfield, I believe, in the Locost Championship, but you've got a lot to come on to talk to about the Locost Championship, because you're also quite heavily involved in that, weren't you?
Yeah, that's true. Back in the early 90s, I built a Westfield to race in the Kit Car Championship, which was before Locost was ever thought about. And I raced it from 92 to 2000. And I won the championship 3 times in 4 years.
Wow.
In
Wow.
Different classes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I stopped racing because I changed jobs, and it was about this time that Locost sort of came on the horizon.
Yeah.
As well as being kit car champion, we in the 750 Motor Club, we had a thing called Formula Officials. So it's basically like a driver's rep, and they would meet every month just to thrash out any changes that needed to be made or whatever. And one night at this meeting, Keith Messer, who was the technical guru of 750 Motor Club, said, "I've come across this book about building yourself a sports car for £250.
I can imagine which one you're talking about. Yeah.
And he said the problem with 750 is it's gone away from this idea of people designing and making their own cars.
Yeah, almost. Which can become sort of
what it used to be.
Yeah, can become checkbook racing. Whoever's got the most money is going to win, type thing. Yeah,
exactly. So he said we need to get hold of, make contact with the publishers to get in touch with the author. And I put my hand in my pocket and said,
I know
phone out. Yeah, I pulled my phone out and I said, "Oh, do you want his number?" "Well, have you got that?" I said, "Well, as well as being a teacher, I'm chief examiner for GCSE motor vehicle studies, and I do the in-service training for the teachers all over the country."
And Ron was a teacher as well. Ron Champion was a teacher as well, wasn't he?
That's right. At the time, he was teaching at Oundle private school, or public school, And I put this meeting on in London, and this guy turned up, and I thought, he looks a bit familiar. And I got him to fill his name in on the attendance sheet, and there it was, Ron Champion. And I said, Are you the Ron Champion that wrote the book about building a car?" He looks at me and he said, "Yeah." "Are you the Mike Todd that won the Kit Car Championship last year?" "Yeah." And then I said, "I tell you what, let's start this meeting. Let's get through it, clear all the teachers out of the way, and we can sit down over a coffee this afternoon and sort out
things out." Yeah. So this is basically how Locost got involved in the 750 championship.
Racing It was. Yeah. And then, as I say, at this race tech committee meeting, I gave the phone number to Keith. He phoned Ron. And we set up a meeting for the 3 of us, Ron, myself, and Keith. And we sat down one night and we thrashed out the ideas of regulations, trying to keep it as close to the book as possible, but also taking into account anything that needed to be changed, for safety and so forth for racing.
Yeah. Back in the day, what engines were they using? I would imagine Ford.
It was always the Ford Crossflow with 1300cc.
Yeah.
And that's what the race series is still using to this day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's got a very big following now as well, isn't it?
It has, yes. I mean, for the first 5 or 6 years, I acted as former official for it. So I had a very close liaison with all the drivers and, sorting out rules, regulations. And like the guys at the 750 directors sort of said, basically, it's your baby. You keep an eye on it. And you know what you're doing because you're Westfield Racing. And it was fantastic in the early days. It was a fantastic championship to be racing in. Everybody was really friendly. If anybody got a little bit a bit overzealous on the track, I'd go over and have a quiet word with them afterwards.
A friendly word. None of this penalties and pit stops and God that you're getting Formula One just got so boring.
That's right. Yeah.
Again, I mean, Formula One, whoever's got the most money wins, is what I said before. But when you look at some of because the 750 series is now being televised, there's live streams you can look at as well. And when you look at the race, it is so close. It's I'm sure there's spins and people not bashing into each other and this kind of thing. But it's really exciting to watch. Really exciting.
Yeah, it certainly is. It got so popular after a few years that they were actually running 3 grids. So so you would do 2 out of the 3, and then that would give you a full grid for a final.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is the other thing. The amount of people that are entered into it as well. I mean, some of the race series you get a few, but the low cost you get loads of people. Really exciting.
You do. Yeah. I mean, it got so popular that 750 introduced a variation of it with putting Mazda engines into the low cost chassis, and they called it Mazda 7, which had a bit more performance than the 1300 Crossflow. That drew a few of the people away.
Yeah. I know in some of the races as well, it's like the MK sports cars. They're now entering their Cup 200s, but that's a completely different class, I would imagine, to the original.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah.
That's kind of like where it all came from, but it's absolutely brilliant that you obviously got involved quite a lot with Ron and getting it into the 750 championship.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I went to Handel School a couple of times, in my capacity as chief examiner, to look at some of the students' work and so forth. And when you walked into his workshop, which was it was a very nice big industrial unit, basically. It just looked like you were walking into a race car factory,
So you've stopped racing now. Have you any thoughts of building another Westfield or
no? Well, not really, because having done it once, got the T-shirt, got the trophies.
Well, you won the championship 3 times.
I've done it. But interestingly, when I retired from work, because after I finished teaching, after running my own race business for 5 years and then selling it, I ended up getting headhunted and became general manager of a GT team.
Okay.
Racing in British GT and Blank Pan in Europe, as well as Formula Renault. So I went from being a school teacher to like engineer, team manager, and then, as I say, eventually general manager until I retired. Yeah, so that's so I don't have the time and space to build a low cost or a Westfield or anything like that. The garage I built the Westfield in is now full of lathe and milling machine and so forth. After I'd finished racing, in the early days of low cost, when one or two companies were starting to build the chassis commercially, there was a kit car racer friend of mine, Ian Gray, who started building low cost frames under the name Stuart Taylor Motorsport.
I know the name, and I know the company.
And he did, I think he did probably the first Loco blade. So it's a low cost with a 5-blade engine.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, with the CBR blade engine. Yeah.
And he said to me, if I enter a car at Silverstone at the Peterborough Motor Club race meeting, will you race it for me? Yeah, all right then. Well, I've never driven it before.
Yeah. Have you never driven bikes? Never driven bike engines or no.
So it was a case of getting the car just before qualifying, and there was a bit of a groan of the rubber bushes because they seemed a bit tight.
Yeah.
And I said, we're going to have to slacken these off a bit before the race. Anyway, go out, blah, blah, blah. And I'm racing against, there's a couple of Mallet, you know, the Mallet Clubman cars, front engined, slick tyres. I'm on road tyres, although soft road tyres. There's like Triumph 2000 TR6 I think it was, on slicks, and there's a real mix match of things, and I don't know, I qualified mid-grid sort of thing. And I can remember saying to him, what are we going to do about starting here? What's the maximum revs on this? And he said, I don't know, 12, 13, something like that. I thought, oh, okay. With the Westfield, it was like 8,000 max, and I'd 6,000, I'd let the clutch out.
Yeah.
Okay, so working that through, we'd go, let's get it to about 9.5 and let the clutch out.
And then launch it,
And I could not get my breath. I went, this was from the old pit start line, you know, at Silverstone, up against the wall, and I'm sort of going past these cars as if they're standing still, and I'm thinking, and it's just boom, 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 you know, through the gears.
Yeah, the gear changes, constant, And
anyway, it gets about part way through the race, and I overcook it and I spin. So I get going again, and I got to get past a lot more cars, and I think I ended up the first road tired car in the race, and all we got was a blade, you know, 5-blade engine. It was just it didn't convince me to go bike engine car racing. I didn't particularly like it. But it was a very interesting experience.
Should we call that a wrap? Call that a wrap?
Yeah. If you're happy with what we've covered.
Brilliant.
John,
give a wave to Ron Champion, who I know will be watching this as well. Hi, Ron.
Hi, Ron. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah. Hopefully catch up soon.